How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at this classic detective action figure released earlier this year by McFarlane Toys based on the 1960s TV show starring Adam West. And this guy here was recently nominated as Action Figure of the Year by the Toy Foundation. I also happen to have the Platinum Chase version. It's a black and white cast grayscale figure of the same Adam West Batman. We'll take a look at both of them today. Is this guy actually Action Figure of the Year? Let's find out. And as always, we'll start with a quick look at the packaging. Now, please pause if you'd like to take a longer look at anything on the screen. And honestly, if you're an on-card collector, these look great on card with an excellent photo of the man himself, Adam West as Batman, serving as the card art on the back. Now, keep in mind, this is a 7-inch DC Multiverse figure and not in scale with the smaller Batman 66 line that McFarlane has also been doing. So it'll be interesting to see if we also get some of the other characters from that show in this 7-inch line as well, or if this will just be kind of a one-off. Now, let's take a quick 360 look at the packaging. We can see how these guys compare. There's really nothing different on the Platinum packaging at all. It's exactly the same, minus the Platinum sticker down in the corner on the black and white version. And here's a look at the UPC code for those interested or who are still on the hunt for this one. All right, now let's go ahead and get these guys unboxed so we can get a better look at them and talk about them in a little more detail. All right, these guys are unboxed and man, they are pretty dang cool. I mean, just really well done figures all around, with a couple of minor issues that we'll get to in a little bit. The face sculpt looks solid, especially for a McFarlane DC Multiverse based on an actor's likeness. A lot of times those don't always look the best, but I feel like this captures Adam West pretty well. You're not going to get Hot Toys quality or sometimes even NECA quality from McFarlane Toys in most cases, but I'm pretty happy with this face sculpt overall. And the details in the costume are also really well done, but here's where I have some minor nitpicks, at least for the standard version. I would have liked to see the blue paint a bit darker and maybe a little bit shinier just to kind of match what you see on the TV costume. And while I am loving this wired cape, it's just way too long from an accuracy standpoint. I think the real life cape probably hit just below the knees, and this one, as you can see, if fully hanging down, extends well beyond his feet. Though the added length on the cape does make for some fun posing, I do have to admit that. And overall, those critiques are a bit nitpicky. It is a very good figure overall. I mean, the Adam West in the Batman TV show certainly wouldn't look this cool doing gliding poses and those kinds of things with the shorter cape. So you do have to give it some leeway for that. And I do love the shininess of this cape. I know a lot of people sometimes don't care as much for some of that shininess on the cloth, but for this one definitely works really well because that is essentially how the material on the cape in the TV show looked. And it does just make me wish even more that the paint on the figure itself actually kind of match that a little bit better. A little bit darker of a blue, a little bit shinier of a paint, I think would have made this just an absolutely perfect figure. But overall, this one is a very fun figure and very much captures the essence of Adam West, just with a little bit of a longer cape. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the articulation too. This is pretty standard stuff for the McFarlane figures at this point. So we've got the head rotation, the shoulders, the arms, the double jointed elbows and knees, torso, waist, legs, toes, ankles, pretty much anywhere this figure can move, you can move him, and you can get him into pretty much any pose that you'd like to get him into. Especially with that wired cape, makes it even easier to get him into some fun shots for your display. And he does also come with several accessories. This one is pretty specced out. So he does basically the standard base, and the typical figure comes with like a display card that has the same photo on the back, and I've seen that in other reviews. I don't know if it's because I got ones that were in the sweepstakes or what, but I did not get any of those. I got these cards that just kind of enter for your chance to win kind of thing. So I may have lost out on that opportunity to have the actual display card. Doesn't upset me too much. I never really kind of display those anyway. And I don't know yet if I've won either of these, so I will have to take a look. And he comes with a bat walkie-talkie or bat radio, that kind of thing. We've seen this on the show multiple times. Very cool to have that. And a batarang. Now the standard does come with the blue batarang and the Platinum version, all of the same accessories except in black. So if you have other kind of black and gray or all black color suited Batman, those accessories will also work really well with those if you have some that don't have accessories that you'd like to have. So an extra batarang, extra radio, those kinds of things. He also comes with 4 extra hands. So he's got the pointer finger, which I'm not real sure, but maybe he's like, I've got an idea, Robin. And the thinking hand, I like to call it, where you might put it up to his chin. Seen him do that multiple times on the show. So those are a pretty cool combo of hand sculpts there that you can get some interesting poses with. But I think the hands that most people are going to be interested in, and probably 90% of the people who buy this figure will have posed in their display, are the dancing Batusi hands. And those are my personal favorite as well. I love that scene. I love the memes that it has produced. And I think that I will probably also have these hands on my Batman most of the time. His standard hands are just kind of gripping hands, so those are good for the accessories, the batarang, and the radio, or you got the hands on the hips pose that he's actually in the box displaying. So very cool. Got 6 total hands for each of these figures, a radio and a batarang, along with the standard base and a card. It's pretty well spec'd out for a standard McFarlane action figure. And now taking a look at the Platinum black and white version, or kind of grayscale Batman. Again, all of the accessories exactly the same, except all in black. Same exact card that comes with the other Batman. And I have to be honest, in most cases, I'm not usually a fan of these black and white figures we saw with the superpowers. Neither Chris nor I really cared for those black and white versions that much. I think especially with those superhero figures, they just tend to look better with that vibrant, colorful scheme going on. And I have to say, man, with this one, for whatever reason, it really, really works. And there's something about it that just screams, this looks right to me. And I think it's probably because I have vivid memories of watching the Batman show on my grandma's old black and white TV. I think a lot of you probably have watched this Batman TV show in black and white at some point in your lives, if you're a little bit older, kind of older millennial into Gen X and that kind of thing. So you've probably seen Batman look exactly like this as well. And it just, for whatever reason, it just screams, yeah, this is Batman. This looks right. This looks like Adam West Batman also. And I think the style of the figure really complements that as well. You get a little bit less of a muscular body, and it just looks like black and white TV star Adam West as Batman. It just, yeah, I really like it. I really like this Platinum version. I'm really glad I found it. And guys, by the way, I did find both of these figures at Walmart in store, 2 different Walmarts, but that was not too long ago, only about a month or so. So they are still out there. If you haven't picked them up yet and you're still on the hunt, definitely check Walmart. I think some people have found some in GameStops. I'm not 100% sure on that though, but they are out there. So if you have not had a chance to pick these up yet and you do want them, I definitely recommend it, and definitely keep your eyes out in store. I was really actually surprised to find the Platinum version in store. I typically have not, in my area, found many Platinum versions in store anywhere, so it was a nice surprise. And again, just super glad I found it. I really like it a lot. So where do these guys rank on our Just BSing scale? Well, I'll start with the standard version, and I really, really like this figure. I do, though, think I have to ding it a bit for the inaccuracy of the blue and the length of that cape. It's just a bit much. I think if it had just been a little bit shorter, I think it probably would have been almost a perfect figure from the accuracy standpoint. And I have seen a lot of people either altering that by cutting and sewing, or some people have replaced the Batman cape on this one with the recently released DC Multiverse Hugo Strange figure. And I do think that gives it kind of a better look. So if you are handy and are able to do those kinds of replacements and alterations and things like that, I would certainly recommend it. Myself, I probably won't go through the trouble of doing that, and we'll deal with the length of the cape as it is. We'll put it in a pose where it's not as noticeable, or do something, like I said, where you typically wouldn't be able to do for an Adam West Batman. So I do have to ding it a little bit for that. As much as I want to give this one a so good, it's going to get a very, very high good. I think that it is almost a perfect Batman. With those minor tweaks, it would be a so good, just barely missing out on a so good rating for me. So this one is going to get a good. And for the Platinum figure, you know, like I said, I just really kind of like that one. It just looks right to me. I've always been kind of a more black and gray fan of the Batman costume myself, so this hits that, even though he's also kind of grayscale in the face. I think it just works really well for me. And my critiques on this one don't really carry over to this Batman quite as much. No blue inaccuracy to worry about. And while the cape would still be a bit long for Adam West Batman, in that black color scheme, it just, for whatever reason, doesn't bother me quite as much. So something that may be surprising to many, I'm actually going to give this one just ekes into so good. They're pretty much equal, but this one for me, this is my opinion, I just really like that black and white scheme quite a bit. Like I said, it just looks right to me. So it does just eke into that so good category. But guys, that's pure preference and opinion on my part. I'm sure most people will prefer the original. And honestly, if you haven't picked up either one, I think you would be more than happy with this one or this one. They are very close. So either way, you're going to have a fantastic Batman from the 1966 Batman series in the 7-inch scale. Especially if you're a fan of the campiness of that Batman, I think these are just fantastic figures. But is this action figure of the year? Well, if you're talking about the awards themselves and what figures are going up against this Batman, yeah, I kind of think it is. And I've actually voted for this one. I'm leaving a link in the description below for the Toy Foundation so you can cast your votes. As well, you have until January 10th, 2025 to cast those votes. So if you'd like to vote for this one, or if you prefer any of the other figures in the category and want to vote for one of those over this guy, that link will be in the description. For me, the action figures that were up against this Adam West Batman didn't quite hit the mark. I'm sure they will hit the mark for some of you, but for me, this one was the clear winner of that particular category from the Toy Foundation, so I did cast my vote for this. But is this one action figure of the year overall outside of those award categories? That's a harder sell for me. I really like this one quite a bit. Like I said, love this one as well. This one is not nominated. It is the standard version, but it's really good. But I'm not sure that it is my personal favorite action figure of the year. There have been so many great action figures that have come out in 2024 from multiple companies, and I'm not even sure this is McFarlane's best action figure this year. So for me, as simple as this figure is, actually think that my favorite action figure of the year so far has been the Superpowers Bizarro. And I know, very simple figure, no articulation, you know, that kind of thing. But for a fan of the Superpowers line going all the way back to Kenner in the 80s as a kid, that just hit all the right marks for me. The nostalgia, the just a bit of newness so that it looks like an updated figure, but in that kind of nostalgic scale and that kind of thing. That Superpowers Bizarro was fantastic. So that's my personal action figure of the year. But this guy, again, I would not fault anyone for picking this as their actual favorite action figure of the year outside of those awards. But that's just me, guys, and that's just my opinion, and my opinion, of course, is not gospel, so I would love to hear what you think of the classic TV Batman down in the comments below, as well as the Platinum counterpart of the classic TV Batman. Is he your action figure of the year? Are you going to vote for him as action figure of the year? And if he's not your action figure of the year, what is? I definitely want to hear your opinions down in the comments below. And while you're down there, drop this video a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We'd love to have you over here on the channel full time. And stay tuned to the channel if you like these DC Multiverse figures. We've got plenty more unboxings on the way of some more DC Multiverse figures recently added to the collection, as well as some great new Superpowers videos, including some fantastic custom stuff that some of our subscribers have sent us. Really cool, including this light behind me, which we'll talk about more in an upcoming video. So definitely stay tuned for all of that, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.